It's hard to believe 2021 is coming to an end, and this housing market is so unpredictable. But you know what? We're looking forward to 2022, and we've got all of the opinions of the experts on which direction this housing market is going. Hello everybody, my name is Barry Horvath, and this is Moving Forward TV with your local market update.
And I am DeLynn Gaston. Thank you so much for joining us. So as you said, we are winding down 2021, and what a year, right? Who would have thunk in 2020 that we would have had the year that we had? And then everyone said, oh, okay, well that was, kind of a blip in the world, and things would be normal in 2021.
Everything's the new normal.
You're right. So I guess it is normal, the new normal.
You know what's so funny? We've had 2 new strands of the virus
come out.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And next year there'll probably be 2 more.
I'm sure.
And yet the housing market still sustains, and all the experts and people who are afraid this thing's turning into a bubble, which it's not, and we're going to talk about why it's really not going to turn into a bubble. And if you're afraid to buy right now, you're missing out on the boat, because 2 years ago, you're actually probably lost 30-some% of appreciation in the housing market. So
I think a lot of people right now are kicking themselves in the tail because
for not buying.
Didn't buy, and I'm one of them.
Yeah.
You know? Didn't buy a year ago. 2 years ago would have been really ideal, but a lot of people are kicking themselves in the tail. And guess what, people? It is not a bubble. It is not a bubble. So anybody who is out there saying, I'm going to wait for the bubble to burst and then I'm going to buy, when all of the home prices come down, then I'm going to buy.
Well, yeah, it's true. You know, when you think about last year, nationwide average 18% appreciation last year alone, and you bought a 300.
And the predictions were not that high.
No, they were not. They were going to be single digits. So if you bought a home that was $300,000 last year, it's probably worth $354,000 this year. Can you believe that? I mean, that's just the reality of it. So, but yet with the prices even going up, we're in one of the most affordable times in history because of the low interest rates.
Right.
Are they going to continue forever? Probably not. There's some volatility. We're going to talk about the markets and how that affects that today. But it's still a great time to buy.
It is absolutely a great time to buy because of, like you said, with the markets being so low. What that does is that gives you more buying power. So the interest rate, your monthly payment, is what determines what you qualify for and how much you can afford. Your monthly payment, right? So it's not like, oh, I can afford $350,000. No, you can afford this payment. This is your payment, and everything goes by what is your monthly payment going to be versus your other debt. With the interest rates being so low, that allows for a higher loan amount that you qualify for because your payment is lower now on that $350,000 house or something like that. Whereas if the interest rates were higher, maybe it would only be $250,000 or something. So this is the best time to buy because the rates are so low. How long are they going to stay low? We don't know. But what we want to do is we want to introduce you to some people
if we knew
love.
the answer to that, we wouldn't be doing this show. We'd be doing something else.
I've always said if I knew the answer to that question, I would be sitting in Washington making a lot more money than I am here.
Yeah, because we get paid the big bucks for doing this show.
I know, right?
I mean, it's unbelievable what we make for doing this.
So there are some, so in the mortgage industry, there is a guru who we love to pieces, and his name is Barry Habib, and he is an amazing, him and his team, they are just amazing. They track this stuff, they follow the market. Anybody in the mortgage world knows this name. We subscribe to him, and you guys can subscribe to him as well, or you can just listen to us when we tell you what's going on. So Barry Habib's team has, it's called MBS Highway, which is mortgage-backed securities, which is kind of what drives the markets. So we're going to introduce you. We're going to play some video.
We're going to show some clips of the recent
show.
You know, and
it was probably about a week or so ago, but it was really talking completely about the housing market and which direction it's going. Basically, who, you know, some of the people who do predictions, and then
Say that again really fast.
Who do.
So it's people who do. Okay.
I know, such a child.
Sorry.
Anyway, shall we start?
Yes.
Shall we play the video?
Let's see
play
the clip
video.
and then we'll go from there.
Good morning, everyone. So far today, we see stocks continuing to rebound on early reports that the Omicron variant is less severe. So the Dow up over 600 points yesterday, up over 300 points this morning, and that's pressuring mortgage bonds a little bit lower. They're down 12 basis points as I'm speaking here, and they've been vacillating up and down right around that 25-day moving average. There is some support nearby, which we will get into shortly. But Barry, remember, is taking a long overdue vacation for the next few weeks. So you're going to have Megan and I here over that time period. But we did get some important housing news today. And Corelogic came out with their home price index report for October. Now, we know, and we've been telling you, that Corelogic has been really conservative in their housing outlook. And, you know, their report today showed that, you know, they were wrong again on their forecasts. So month over month in October, home prices rose 1.3%. And year over year, it is at the all-time high in their 45-year report that they do at 18%. Now, that was unchanged from last year. And as we've talked to you about, we think that the top in year-over-year appreciation is in, meaning that we'll still see monthly gains out there, month over month. But the year-over-year numbers have kind of stalled, and we think those will actually come down when you're taking a look at a comparison from last year. Now, Corelogic, what did they forecast for next month? Well, they forecasted 0.1% gain, or 0.2% gain, excuse me. And they also forecast that home prices are going to rise by 2.5% over the next year. Now, if you look back at, you know, what they've been saying over the last year, I mean, remember, these are the same people that said home prices were going to be down 6.6%. Meanwhile, they're up 18%. And if you look at just last month's report, they anticipated home prices were only going to rise by 0.1% for October and 1.9% for the next 12 months. Well, we got 1.3%. So, you know, they only missed it by 1.2%. So they've been really married to their position. We've been seeing much stronger gains than Corelogic anticipates. And you know, it doesn't look like they're going to be changing their outlook. But, you know, Megan, there are several other, you know, credible sources out there that have their own forecasts for housing over the next year. Why don't you break those down for us, as well as some of the top metro areas within this Corelogic report?
The top metros within that Corelogic report, similar story here. We have Phoenix coming in 31%, Las Vegas 24%, and San Diego 22%. And as you mentioned, Dan, yes, there are other sources that are coming out with their home price predictions as far as 2022 goes. Corelogic, as you mentioned, they think they're going to go up 2.5% next year. Then we have Goldman Sachs, which is kind of the opposite here. They think they're going to go up 16%. And then we have Fannie Mae, which is coming up right in the middle there at 7.4%. And then we have Zillow at 14%. But Dan, the big question is, what is MBS Highway's predictions?
Yeah, so those numbers are really all over there. It does look like Corelogic is the outlier at 2.5%, and some of the others showing some really meaningful gains, you know, on top of the gains that we've seen in 2021. And we are going to be coming out for you guys with a 2022 forecast. It's probably going to happen, you know, towards the end of this month, but we're going to break down for you our outlook on the economy, on stocks, on bonds, and of course on housing. But I'll give you a little preview here. Now, I think that we can certainly see some meaningful gains in the mid to high single digits of appreciation. And remember, you know, if we were to see 8% appreciation over the next 12 months, if you have a $400,000 home, that means you would gain $32,000 in appreciation alone over that year. which of course is huge for wealth creation. And that doesn't even consider the amount that you gain in amortization as well. So why do we think that housing can remain strong? Well, we've been talking to you about many of these different things, but I'll just go ahead and share a couple slides with you real quick. And you guys have invariably seen this before because we've been talking about this for quite some time, but we should continue to see demand increase next year. And this is a chart of the birth rates, right? So we know that the median age of a first-time home buyer is 33 years old. So if we want to see how many individuals are going to be turning of age to provide that demand to purchase a home next year, well, we got to go 33 years ago. Now, if we take a look at this chart of birth rates, if we go back right here on this chart, 1987, 1988, depending on their birthday, you can see that this is where 33-year-olds were born today, which was right, as I said, 1987, 1988. Now, if we look to next year, what do you see happen? It almost looks like a staircase. There was a much, much greater amount of births than the previous year. And you actually see this trend continue for the next several years. And then it kind of levels off and plateaus at some of the highest birth rates that we've ever seen. So when we see this occur, that means that next year we should see an even greater amount of individuals turning of age to purchase a home to provide demand for housing. Now, what about, some people out there talking about a housing bubble? And, we see this all the time in the negative media saying that, oh, home prices are so high. They compare them to 2006, 2007, when we were getting into some issues. And, they say that, well, we're going to have a housing bubble. Well, if you take a look at 2007, what do you see here? You see the demand side of the equation, the amount of households that were out there was 116 million. If you look at today, there's 128 million. And actually, this is as of 2020, because we don't have the full data for 2021 yet. So this has actually increased. But what you're seeing is from the demand side of the equation, you have 12 million more households out there to purchase homes. When you take a look at the supply side of things, well, if you want to see what a housing bubble looks like, look at this peak inventory level in 2007. You had 3.7 million homes for sale. Well, we know inventory is extremely tight today, near record low levels at about 1.2 million. So when you factor in supply and demand, and listen, supply and demand really determines everything within markets. On the demand side of things, you have 12 million more households. And on the supply side, you have roughly 2.5 million less homes for sale. So this is certainly the supply and demand dynamics that you'd like to see for supportive home prices. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are talking about, well, we're going to get a lot of supply in from foreclosures. Well, listen, here's what I wanted to break down for you. So number one, we know that builders are undersupplied, and housing is undersupplied by roughly 4.5 to 5 million homes, like we broke down for you last week. And I don't think that builders are going to be even close to being able to catch up with that. But how about the inventory that people are expecting from foreclosures? Well, listen, when we look at forbearances, there was roughly 5 million homes that were in forbearance, or people that were in forbearance. So far, a little more than 3.6 million have exited. But if you take a look at the numbers and break them down, over 25% or so were still making their payments. And when you look at the rest of them, there's a lot of other options that these individuals can take advantage of, different modifications that really unwind the forbearance gently. Did you know that out of the 3.6 or so million people that have exited forbearance, only 0.65% have actually resulted in a short sale or a foreclosure, which is roughly like 25,000 homes. And obviously that's going to be absorbed by the demand we're seeing in housing and the lack of supply that we have out there. So listen, I think that we're going to continue to see strong housing into 2022, albeit it's not going to be at the 2021 pace of 20% appreciation. That would actually probably be a bad thing, because I think it would be unsustainable. But if we see mid-single to high-digit appreciation, I think that would be fantastic. But listen, there are some challenges out there, right? I mean, obviously we know, and we've been talking to you about the fact that interest rates are rising a little bit and will probably continue to do so because of inflation. So if interest rates shot up significantly, which we don't expect them to, we think that they will rise modestly. But listen, if they got out of control, that would obviously impact affordability and could dampen things a little bit. But overall, optimistic about housing in the new year. And remember, we will have that breakdown for you, a nice presentation that you guys can utilize, and go ahead and give a presentation to your realtor.
Well, that was Dan Habib, who is the son, if you haven't put that together, of Barry Habib, who is our guru go-to on this market. So super interesting stats.
That made, that's the show. And again, we get these shows every day from the MBS Highway. And that one really made me say, oh my gosh, this like really kind of puts things into perspective for people, because there's so many people out there saying, oh, it's a bubble, it's going to burst. And, no, it's supply and demand. And their outlook that they're talking about, we are going to have that for you guys, I promise.
All right, tell everyone what you really said.
So after watching this show, I really said, oh my God, I need to go buy a house. That's exactly what I said.
That's exactly what she said. And you all should be feeling the same way too. It's I'm a big proprietor of wealth creation,
right.
always.
Right.
And even if we have modest appreciation, and let's call modest in the single digits now, not this crazy 18%. Right. Vegas was up 24%.
I know.
Even if you have a 8 or 9% appreciation on today's, now our FHA limits are what, over 400,000?
Oh my gosh, 420.
Yeah, so let's just say it's 8% on 400,000, like you said. That's $32,000 of new wealth created that year. You didn't do anything. I always love to tell people, you don't make money by paying your mortgage. You just don't, okay? You got to make the payment. You better make the payment or they're going to foreclose. You make money because of the appreciation of the market. You just got to own. You got to be in the game. If you're not in the game, you're not going to create that wealth. It's simple. And this market is not going anywhere. It's not. I mean, I love the analogy of supply and demand. There's a huge demand right now, and the average buyer being 33 years of age.
I know.
They're all.
That's her. And did you notice? I was going to say, I took down some notes during all of that. So, first of all, who would have thunk Phoenix? 31% went up. Wow, really, Phoenix? I didn't know. I know that Arizona's hot because.
Well, duh.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat. It's a dry heat.
Well, and quality of air, from what I understand in Arizona, the quality of air is. But anyway, San Diego and Las Vegas, and big appreciations there. And even if we don't have that much appreciation going forward, not that much, but it's still a healthy appreciation, like you said. Some of the things like the millennials. Did you see the millennials? The average millennial, 33 years of age, is where they kind of buy a house. And did you notice in the chart? It kept going, and then after that, there's like 61 million post-millennials. I'm not sure what that one's called, Gen Y or something like that. They're coming up too, so we have 66 million millennials coming of age to buy a house pretty soon, and then right after that, 61 million post-millennials. So that's a lot of people. That means, and the other really interesting thing that I thought that they said that the demand, 12 million more households now, right?
Right.
The other thing, what do we hear people saying a lot? For everybody who is in forbearance, we're going to have this plethora of homes just flooding the market because people are going to lose their homes.
And they're not, because,
No.
I mean, let's think about this.
They're not.
Let's use some common sense here for a minute. I know a lot of people were hurt during COVID. We had some people, in the hospitality industry,
Right.
travel industries, they had a decline in income. They may have gotten behind. They were allowed to do forbearance. The lenders are allowing people to modify those, okay, and get back on a normal payment schedule. But even if they don't, even if the people are saying, yeah, I can't afford it, the market's still appreciating on that house while it's in forbearance,
Right.
okay? So they have equity in the house. So it's not going to be like, sorry, but 08, 09, where there wasn't equity and everything just kept tumbling. It's a spiral down effect.
Well, in the 07, 08, 09, that was built on fraud. That was a
It's
house
true.
of cards ready to fall.
Yep.
It was completely 100% based on fraud. Not in today's world. From that, as a nation, we learned a hard lesson during that time. And somebody said one time, Americans have very short memories. Well, but we did. We learned a very hard lesson during that time. And now, there are no more of those no income, no asset verification loans, and all of those. That house of cards is not there anymore. Everybody qualifies. Everybody has to qualify. So the things have changed quite a bit, and it's
Dodd-Frank. let's face it,
The
Dodd-Frank.
laws changed. That's not going to happen. That house of cards is not going to happen.
If you don't know what Dodd-Frank is, when you're bored one night, go ahead and pull it out and read the law. It's a
It's
big
over
one.
1,000 pages.
It's a big
so
one.
if you need to sleep.
But we must prove, and when I say we, I mean the industry has to prove the borrower's ability to repay. If you cannot prove income, you're not getting a loan. That's just the way it is. You
Right.
can't just walk in and get a house and put
And
fog
that's
on
the
a
way
mirror.
it was in the
Yes.
mid-2000s.
It's not that way anymore.
It's not that way anymore. So people are saying, oh, just like '08, '09, it's going to burst. No. This is completely 100% supply and demand.
And then take in the shortage of materials for construction
Right.
into play.
Right.
Those new houses can't be built fast enough. I mean, people are waiting 2 years now to get a newly built house where,
I
remember, it used to be 90 to 120 days. And even these cookie cutter subdivisions, you're waiting a long time. The materials aren't coming in fast enough. Again, supply and demand. As long as there's more demand than supply, prices will continue to appreciate.
And they said that's not going away. Like, they said the demand, that 12 million more households right now. And then they said foreclosures and such. So forbearance, people coming out. So 5 million people in forbearance, right? Were in forbearance. 3.6 million have exited, at least 1.4 million. 12 million more households. So we have 1.4 million potentially that are still in forbearance, and like you said, with all of the equity appreciation, they're not going to let that house go to foreclosure. I don't believe people are the jobs are there again. You drive down the street and you see a lot of people that are looking for, hiring. So people who have all of the sudden they have this appreciation, they have a new $100,000. Are they going to walk away from that? No, I do not think that we are going to have the big plethora of foreclosures or short sales. I don't know. They said less than 1% out of the 3.6 million people who exited the forbearance, less than 1% went to foreclosure or short sale.
Wow. Crazy. And then, couple that with interest rates where they are they going to go up? Yeah, probably, but they're not going to go crazy. We're not going to see high interest rates. They're going to go up, a little. I know people get mad when they say, your rates are in the 3s now?
Oh, that's so high.
Really? I want you to think about that. And then for a lot of people, mortgage interest may be tax deductible. It's one of the few tax shelters we have. I mean,
I know. Why would you want to pay off your mortgage when you're borrowing at 3 or 3.5%, something like that? Why would you want to pay that off and now you have no tax shelter?
Yeah, no tax shelter.
Why would you want to do that?
Why wouldn't you want to put that money to work somewhere else on another property? Maybe, I don't know, this thing called the stock market's at a all-time high. I mean, not saying it's not going to come down, for the long term. So there's so many options out there. Think about the future generations to come. You're creating wealth for the next generations, right? And if you're a renter, you are not creating wealth. I'm sorry. You just aren't.
So I know we're kind of running out of time here because our video ran long, but a couple of things I did want to touch on as far as the interest rates go. So that's the other predictions that are coming up and everything. And again, we're going to have some of these predictions for you. But right now, just so that you know, and I try and tell all of my clients this, I try and tell all of my realtor partners this as well. So people will always want to know, how do we know where are interest rates going? Yes, like Barry said, and like they said in the video, yes, interest rates probably will go up. We don't think they're going to see this spike. Depends on which news station you watch. Somebody I heard the other day
You should watch all of the news channels and gather
so you're very confused.
Gather all that information and mix it up in your brain.
Somebody said 7.5%. They felt the rates were going to. One of the news stations said
Who
they
said
felt
that.
One of the news stations said 7.5%. No. I seriously, I honestly don't think. I think as a nation we're just way smarter than that. Maybe I'm giving us too much credit, but I don't think that they're going to jump up that much. But yes, they are going to go up. So why would you not want to buy a house now? We know that interest rates are probably going to go up in the future. We know that housing prices are going up in the future. Why are you still sitting on the fence?
It's a good question. You know what? You can get into a house with a very low down payment today. The myth of I need 20%, those days are long gone. Is that your best loan program? Well, sure it is. Can you get in for 3.5% or 5%? Yes, 3.5% of your purchase price.
There are, and with it going up.
And refinance it if you don't like the PMI or MI insurance in a year or two, right?
Right. A lot of refinancing going on right now too. And even if, like you said, even if you were at, when you bought your house a year and a half ago or whatever, you were at 3.5% or something, and the interest rate is still 3.5%. If you're getting rid of $150 a month or something like that in the PMI, do that over the next 60 months, 5 years, and how much money,
You know what's so funny?
are you saving?
I've had people say to me, I'm going to wait to buy a house till I have 20% down.
Yes, I've heard that.
Let's talk about the high cost of waiting, right? Think about that. I don't want to pay that extra $100 a month in the PMI insurance. That's $1,200 a year. We already told you,
Right.
9% appreciation, 10% appreciation on a $300,000 house is $30,000. You spent $1,200 a month in your monthly payment, or $1,200 in the year on a monthly payment for the right to accumulate $30,000 in wealth. Does that make sense?
Is
I
that a
don't know.
no-brainer?
I mean, the numbers are these are just guesstimates, but I just want you to get the concept of what we're talking about.
And even if it's lower appreciation, the bottom line is it's appreciation.
Yes.
It's appreciation. It's not going down because of back to supply
Yes.
and demand.
It may level off.
So much demand.
20% may not be it, but high single digits of appreciation are reality. There you go. You heard it
Coming
here.
up in 2022.
Yeah. We'll have all the predictions for you for the next year. We're going to keep you educated as much as possible on what we see in the market. We're busier than ever. I mean, it's a crazy time, but it's still a great time. And it's probably too late to buy and close this year.
If you want to close by December 31st, yeah, it's probably a little late for that right now. But start the new year off right and close in January.
There you go. There you go. But don't be afraid. And the other thing I like to tell people is, you know what? If you want to buy a house and you got to get in the game. You got to put your offer in. Get your offer in. People are putting in blind offers. You do get an inspection period. If you don't like it, when we run the numbers, you can always back out. I hate to say that, but that's just the way it works. So if you don't do it, other people are. So reality, right?
Exactly.
But anyway, thanks everybody. We hope that you enjoy the information we provide to you each and every week. So
Do we have anything coming up? I know the end of the year is coming up, so we wanted to say, of course, everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all of that. However, the other thing is do stay tuned and keep in touch with us, because we are always continuing to educate people. We have our nonprofit of choice, West Pasco Business Association. They always have some really good stuff going on.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will be participating in the HEART program coming forward as well.
yes, we're here for you. So hey, make sure you share this show, like it. Don't know how you heard about us, but hope you tell someone.
We are today and every day.
Moving forward.
See you next week. Bye-bye.